Good evening, welcome. How you doing? This is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. I'm excited. We're doing a special today. I have two gentlemen that are natives of Alexandria, Virginia, Old Town, and I decided after some conversation we had a few days ago, I wanted to do something a little special because I thought that it was very important that we get some information out. The gentleman here is Don Jarrett, and this is Norman Colvin. I did say that right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So basically, I'm just excited because you'll be able to get a chance to hear some dialogue from some black men who grew up back in the 60s,
60s, 70s,
70s, yeah, and being able to tell you about some of the things they've experienced and just their perspective on some things. As you know, is people to people, power to power, positive thing to people. You know, the people to people is me, you, and them. Them can be whoever you want them to be. And then we also have the power that they possess, the power we possess, and the power we can get and they can give, and vice versa. Which, in the end, comes to positive thinking people. And so that's just what the whole agenda is. So, sweetheart, believe it or not, you can pull back because you're actually the keyboard is inside. Go ahead. So, as you know, it's Real Talk Live. We've been really working it where we're starting to bring people in, and instead of doing it through virtual. But that's okay. Don't worry about it because this is gonna be so powerful today. It ain't gonna make no difference. We gonna hit some real powerful notes. So basically, I really appreciate both of y'all gentlemen coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And this is what I'm talking. This real talk. So we don't practice nothing. We keep it real. It's all about what's going on. I know normally I'm on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I decided after receiving a call from Don the other day, which I really appreciate. See, we got to realize something. Don't be too big or put yourself in a position where somebody can't give you some information about something you may said or done that you might have to retract. And so I just want to kind of let the audience know that I made a statement the other day when I was talking about
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. And so Don gave me a call and just kind of tell me the conversation we shared.
Well, I gave Rodney a call and he was saying all lives matter, and it dawned on me that sometimes when you say all lives matter, which is true, it kind of blurs the focus off of Black Lives Matter.
Right.
And most people that truly don't understand, and probably an Afro-American, will probably say all lives matter. But to me, the focus is mainly on Black Lives Matter, and the meaning of that is because we're the only people that's getting hit with the systemic outcome
Right.
of the racism and the killings and the schools and everything that goes along with that. So we're the only ones that's feeling the depression and everything that goes along with racism. So all lives does matter, but Black lives are the only ones that's getting so special attention from systemic racism. So that's why I kind of called you and said, you know what, it's the reason why they're saying Black Lives Matter, and all lives does matter. I don't want to see nobody get hurt, not naturally, but the system is set up, and it's been set up for a long time for us to be in some type of situation. So I come up through the 70s in the projects, right? And you know where I came up. We kind of grew up from the street from us.
Yeah.
And this has been going on. You know, one thing I want to touch on, I was telling somebody that back in the 70s, when we kind of did our little dirt and got into trouble with the police,
Right.
if you turned and walked, ran away from it, he couldn't I shoot you.
Right.
You never heard of somebody shooting you in the night. I don't know where they come from.
I ran from the police.
Yeah, we could.
They never shot
You
me.
could tussle with the police
I did that too.
and they would let you get away.
Yeah.
They just have to try to catch you another day.
Right.
But I don't know what happened where the turning point come where the police started shooting people that was running away from them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, where did that come from? That's never heard of when we was growing up. Shooting somebody in the back. Matter of fact, it was a law that if you couldn't shoot nobody in the back. I don't know when that law changed. Y'all just start not paying attention to that. But now, if you run away from the police,
He'll open up on you.
just shoot you in the back.
Yeah,
We're on the foot race all the time with the police. You know?
Well, a lot of it has changed, and it's more pervasive now than it has ever been since Donald Trump has gotten in the White House. But the All Lives Matter and the Blue Lives Matter, those quotes came up in opposition to Black Lives Matter, especially to blur that line.
Right.
And it's not by accident that slogan came to be. It came to be especially to do that. And the Blue Lives Matter. I had this conversation with a guy about the Blue Lives Matter. And there's no blue life. You know, you wear a uniform.
Right.
You understand? When you go home, you take that uniform off. You are whoever you say you are. You get a job from one city to the next. If you go to another country and get a job as a police, you putting on another uniform.
Yes.
Yeah. When you take that uniform off, you are whatever you are, black, white, Asian, or whatever it is. When I go home, I'm black. When I leave my house, I'm black. I don't have a uniform to take off to become whatever it is that I'm going to be. I'm that 24 hours a day. So there is no blue life. You have a blue uniform that you put on, that you toe a thin blue line as a result of. Both those slogans came up in order to blur, to your point, that line or Black Lives Matter.
Focus.
Correct. Yeah. To dim it. And also to your point, we're being murdered in the street more so now than ever before because our lives have become devalued over time. They don't value us. They never did before, but they had certain parameters that they wouldn't cross humanistically, simply because we were towing some democracy that we were pushing around the world. Now it's completely out of control, and politically they don't care. Obviously, because of who sits in the White House. So as a result of that, they're not enforcing laws as it pertains to how they treat us. They're walking out now all over the country. They say because of what's going on with white folks and Asians and Hispanics all galvanizing together for our cause against racism, systemic racism that has been pervasive in this country since forever. Forever. So now it's finally being a good strong look is being taken at more so
More cultures.
more so now than it ever has been from the 60s to the 1700s when it first started with Frederick Douglass, which was the first time we ever got the right to vote.
Right.
People don't know that, but and they pushed it then from the abolitionist movement. This is the first time that the amount of people that has joined us in our fight for freedom.
Yes.
Because we're not free.
Right.
You can't go out and run freely in a neighborhood that you don't belong to. You're not.
But that was proven with the gentleman.
Correct.
Right.
You're not
They
free.
just got shot.
Right. You can't go to a police and disagree with him and walk away from him, to your point, because they're subject to kill you, and they do it freely because they know there's going to be no consequences behind it. Yes. So
me and my wife, we earlier we were talking about that, and this is in a general conversation. And one of the things that really got me, and that was that what happened that all of a sudden that things have changed, that the police feel comfortable to shoot us.
empowered and emboldened.
Yeah, and it seems almost like that somehow or another something changed along the way, that they got told something totally different. Because like you said earlier, back in the day, we can do something, and the police he wouldn't shoot you.
He'll chase you down.
He'll chase you down, or he'll remember what you look like and be looking for you later in the neighborhood, but he wouldn't shoot you. But where we are now, they are definitely at a point where they will pull the trigger. Lynn, how you doing, Lynn? Lynn said, hello, good evening. Always good to see good men discussing very good topics that affect people that look like us. Blessings to all of you. One love. Hey, we send that love back to you, Lynn. And that was the purpose for us actually having this special today, because it is about people that look like us.
Correct.
And I when I told you earlier, I was so happy that you made that phone call to me, because sometimes I trying to be politically correct, but sometimes politically correct is not really correct, if you follow what I mean, because the fact is we are getting killed. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so it's not even about, this is not about being political, this is about humanity. And see, so we got to watch that, and we got to make sure that we don't let this die down where it's at, because as we know, all of us grew up in the 60s. So we remember when Martin Luther King got killed. We remember the marches. We remember what went on. You remember the movie The Titans, when they was talking about the rioting, and they was talking about it started with the integration of the schools, but it really wasn't that. You remember with that, we talked about that a little bit. It was because the gentleman got shot. Yeah.
Back in the day, got shot for stealing a pack of raisins.
And they never proved that he stole them.
No.
They just assumed that he did, and the guy shot him, which was a white guy, and he shot him and killed him.
We ride over there.
And we burnt the 7-Eleven down. And one of the things that I like to stress, see, a lot of times they want to know why we go to these violent levels. But it's not so much that we want to tear up anything. We're trying to get the frustration out.
But what we do want to tear up something. We do. But the point that I'm gonna make behind that is that in this country, from the Boston Tea Party on up, there has never been positive change without looting, without rioting.
Sacrifice. Gotta be some sacrifice.
There's always been this. From the Boston Tea Party on up, from the Minutemen on up, there's always been an uprising. And the uprising has always been violent. Period. Now, also with us, with us being killed by these people, they've been shooting us for a long time in the street. It's just being filmed.
Right.
It's being filmed now. And I also want to make this point about George Floyd. God is, God works in mysterious ways, and He's always on top of every situation, and so far as human beings are concerned.
Right.
We are the pearl of His eye. We are the joy of His life. Now, the problems that we've been having for hundreds of years hasn't gone unnoticed, obviously. But one can say, well, God's not watching. Yes, He is. But He moves in His time in the way that He does. Now, COVID-19 gripped the world.
Okay.
Gripped the world in such a way that made the world stand still.
Right.
And with nothing to do and nowhere to go.
Right.
George Floyd was killed over the internet when you and I and the entire world was sitting home with nothing to do.
Oh, right.
It was so powerful. You watched him. You watched the color of his skin change.
How about that?
You understand?
Right.
White folks who didn't know or who knew and turned a blind eye to it, or didn't pay attention to our plight and what was going on, because understand, if they are 50, 60, 70 years old, they've been told about this since they were 15.
Right.
We've been marching against police, but Richard Pryor used to put it in his comedy act.
Right.
Right? So this has been going on forever, and they knew it, but they never paid attention. You couldn't help but pay attention to George Floyd.
Right.
Because you seen it in
It was
real
right,
time.
right.
It was
In
real
Yes.
time, and you had nothing to do. You had nowhere to go. You didn't have to go to work the next day.
Oh, my
You couldn't go to a club. You couldn't go to a bar.
You couldn't even go to church.
You couldn't go to church. You couldn't do nothing. So all you could do was marinate on when that man died. You understand?
Yes.
Watching his face change.
Yes.
Watching his lip in the corner turn white. Watch him, the police kneel on top of him, and when the guy that was saying you're killing him, he looked at him square in his eye and stuffed his hand in his pocket as if to say, okay, so now what?
How about you?
So you watched that. So you felt my pain for the first time. You felt what we've been feeling for hundreds. You actually seen it. You felt it. You couldn't help if you had any kind of humanity inside of you. You watched that man die. You had to feel it. So when you felt it, it moved you to move. You understand? And move like nothing had ever moved you before insofar as the black community is concerned. Oh yeah, what they've been saying is, of course it's real. You think we've been telling you lies all these years? This is exactly what they've been doing. But it's never been filmed, and it was never filmed like that.
Where you saw the true facts. It was nothing that they could say to change the reality.
That narrative.
Right. That this
You
guy
couldn't change that narrative at all. That narrative was out there for the world, and the world seen it.
And now
The world seen it.
Now they felt it to a level where
And they felt it.
They felt it.
We had bones, they felt this.
Can I just say this? They always knew something was going on.
Of course.
It's just it didn't come back in their household and bother them. They turned the other cheek.
Correct.
But they already knew that we were being treated bad. But long as something didn't come back, it's like if it's not in my household and not bothering my family, then I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah.
But that particular one, actually, that they witnessed, kind of brought them out.
Yeah.
You know, and I just want to say this, that they told us back in the '60s that that the Ku Klux Klan was gonna, and I'm fast forwarding to something you said. They said the Ku Klux Klan, when they take off their robes, they're gonna become your lawyers, your judges, your polices, your doctors. They're gonna become invaded in every part of this society. That you know. So when you go to the doctor, I don't even trust all doctors.
Thank you.
I don't trust all doctors. My doctor was telling me to go up and I got Kaiser, and he was telling me to go up and take these shots. I said, sir, I'm 60 years old. I ain't need these shots all these years.
Right.
What makes you think I need them now?
Thank you.
You know, so
Thank you.
so I don't trust them. So to take it back to the 30s and the 40s, man, my father died of cirrhosis of the liver. And a lot of Afro-American men didn't go to the doctor because of the racist treatment, and they didn't know what the doctor was going to do to them.
Yeah.
So they stayed, and they just, whatever went, that's how they died.
Correct.
So, I don't trust the doctors, like I say, the polices, what you say, Ku Klux Klan. A lot of them goes into these different fields to do harm to Afro Americans.
Well, let me comment on that. First on the doctor part. No disrespect, because doctors, we need them, okay? But like you said, in this country and in many other places, they have not given us the same treatment as they've given others. My doctor asked me one day, he said, Mr. Grimes, he said, I want to give you the flu shot. And I told him, I said, I don't want it. And he said, why, you don't mind telling me why? And I said, do you want the truth? I said, I want you to tell me one thing free they give the black man in this country. Just one. Can you name one?
That's positive.
Right. It's free. That's positive. Let's say that.
And they say you got to watch out for whatever the government is offering you free.
No, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I just want. We cannot say, but they'll give you the flu shot, and they'll give you the flu shot, and they'll give you. You can go into CVS, you can go into Walmart, you can go almost anywhere and get flu shot for free.
And it has some of all these viruses in it.
Yeah, well, see, what I realized is this: when I was in the United States Marine Corps, I remember one time I had to take it because we was getting ready to go overseas, right? It was mandatory. And so being in there, I had to follow orders. And let me tell you something. I literally thought I was dying. And I found out what happened was they actually put it in my body. Now, I don't know what else they may have put in there, but I'm trying to tell you, I was sick as a dog. And I valued after that. I said, I made a vow to myself I would never allow them to put anything else in my arm because I don't know what it is.
They put viruses in your body.
Yeah.
Well, the virus that they put in your body is a part of the cure. They use the virus to cure the virus. That's
Well, yeah.
what they do. It's like the antibodies with the
Okay.
immune system
But-
build up against it.
Okay, and I understand that.
COVID-19,
I understand
that's
that.
what they do. So,
But
so people have reactions to it.
let me tell you something with how that works though. As we also know that our lives have not been at a point where they've been valued at a level that they don't do it and test us.
Right.
You got certain areas. See, one of the things that you talking about giving me something that you put in my body, but look at the food that be put in the supermarkets. You go in a certain area, their foods are much fresher, and their foods look totally different from our food that's in the neighborhoods, in the black neighborhoods.
Right.
So you want to tell me that changes even when they giving you a flu shot? Come on, I can't believe that.
The first shot they gave you free, they gave you syphilis.
It's real.
Oh, absolutely.
It's real talk.
You're laughing about
It's
it,
real
but they
talk.
kill people
It's real talk.
with
The
free
first
shot,
fleet- the
with
first-
free shot. So we have good reason to distrust them because they've never done anything for us free positive. Period. Especially when it comes to us medically and our medical health, which is a bone of contention right now. We're dying from COVID-19 at a much higher rate than anybody else, even in the hospitals. And this nurse in New York posted something on Messenger saying they're letting these people die. They are killing these people. They're letting them die. They're not trying to help them.
Right.
They're just killing them. So this was pervasive all over the country. So in many cases we don't have insurance. So we're expendable.
Yeah.
Because we can't pay for it.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, our attention is a lot less, and as a result of that, especially with something that's deadly as this COVID-19, they're letting us die. So we are correct to be cautious about whatever it is that this government claims to give us to save us, because they've never given us anything to save us and never given us anything to do to help us medically.
Let me ask. I want both of y'all to answer this. Now that we're in this time, okay, what message do we give the young people to get them to now try to change their direction to make a difference for us for tomorrow?
Well, young people, let me say this about our young folks, and I hear a lot of chatter about where we are in regards to that, and what we are, and what they are, and what they aren't doing. Understand this one, and these are actual statistical facts. There are more black men graduating from college now than ever before in our history here. There are more black people, women as well. The black woman is the second most educated set of people in this country. Pacific Islanders are number one, black women are two. And so the positive change that you're talking about happened a long time ago. That's why when this stuff happened with George Floyd, and they galvanized and they did what they did, what they have done, and caused what is happening now. It happened like that.
Yeah, right.
It was no groundswell that started that built up to a crescendo where it became what it has become now. It happened like that.
Yes.
And it happened like that because they were already conscious.
Right.
And we are a lot of us are critical of young folks because we loop them in a category.
Okay.
You see, because of where we see them in certain neighborhoods,
Right.
and we paint that narrative all over the entirety of our young folks when it's not even remotely close to being true. It's just not true, statistically or otherwise, holistically, as far as the young black community is concerned. They are on top of what they're doing. They are very conscious about what they're doing. They are educated. They are galvanized. They are strong, and they are formidable
And fearless.
Bingo, fearless. They are formidable, and what they are not is their ancestors.
How about that?
Yeah, in no way.
That's
in
right.
No way.
That's right.
In no way. Now, as far as them being even more conscious about themselves and their future, let me say this: they're well on their way to doing that. Of course, there are people. There are a segment of the young society that hasn't gotten there, but that's to be expected. I mean, you know, it's a lot with their pants hanging down over their behinds and stuff like that, which is gross.
Right.
But it is what it is. Yeah, it's disrespectful, gross, all that. It is what it is. But our perception of gross and disrespectful today was somebody else's perception of gross and disrespectful when our hair was out here.
Right.
You understand? And before our hair was out here, and they deemed it gross and disrespectful, it was jazz music. They deemed that gross and disrespectful, and they wanted to lock you up if you were playing it. You understand? So I say that to say there's every generation there's something that's not acceptable to the masses. And so far as the black community is concerned, everybody has something in every era that's distasteful. For this era, it's that. But for every era in ours and our mothers and our grandmothers, it was something that they were pointing out that they didn't like, that they painted over our community with a broad stroke. Because if they can do that, then they can start talking about negativity insofar as your community is concerned and bring other things into it, which will paint a broad stroke over your community negatively, period. You see, it starts the negative dialogue. And then they go from there and pluck everything out that's behind the bushes to become more glaring as it compiles and as it mounts up. And then they say, look, I told you, they lazy, they shiftless, they don't like to do nothing, they wear their pants halfway off, they behind, they this and that,
And that's the media trying to paint that picture.
The media does that, and when the media does it, everybody else tag teams along with it, including our own
people. Hold on a second. I want everybody to just join in to know this is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. I am so excited with my guests that I have in the house today. I have Don Jarrett. I have Norman Colvin. Both gentlemen are from the Old Town area. I had the privilege of growing up with them both. These brothers are well educated from experience. I'm talking about seeing it firsthand. So this conversation we're having today, I'm bringing it to you. We did the special, as you know, we are on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But after I received a special call from Don, I decided, you know what, we needed to do this because a lot of what's going on right now. We need to make sure that we get this information out. So Don, go ahead. I know you wanted to.
I wanted to say, piggyback on what the media, and I always say this: the media plays a great part in how the policing attitude is towards the Afro-American when it comes to the community. Because if you pay attention to the news, and this is across the board, whenever they have something negative, the fires, the robberies, the shootings and all that stuff, it's always they're focusing on the Afro-American community.
Right.
Follow me on this. Now, I don't even have to be looking at the TV. But when I hear them say something, you could be doing something in the house, and they be saying something heroic and good, and guess what I say in my mind? It's a Caucasian.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right? It's a Caucasian. But breaking news and something bad happening is always in the Afro-American neighborhood. Right? But something nice. And little Johnny saved the dog yesterday from under the well.
Or painted the rock.
Yes.
You know, they painted something.
And so the news play a great role in how the police come in your neighborhood and be aggressive towards you.
Right.
Because don't think that this stuff is not going on in the other neighborhood. It's just that the news is not going to focus on it, talk about that. But when they do go in their neighborhood, they're going to focus on something good.
Yeah.
When they come in my neighborhood, they're going to focus on everything bad. So now what you see is that while we get to the narrative of how we are being treated, but that's really not true. The news play a part in how we're looked at.
Right. And we wanted to make sure this is part of what the PTP, People to People, Power Positive Thinking People. This is a platform where we're actually speaking the truth, the reality of things. We're not sugarcoating anything. We're not mad at the white people. We're not mad at them. I'm not. Are you?
We just want the system to be dismantled.
Right.
So we can because we've been separated from the wealth.
Right.
A few people have slipped through the cracks and gotten some wealth, but not enough of us. But we've been separated from the wealth ever since slavery was abolished. So because even in the early 1900s, they were going out getting Caucasians, putting them in houses with no money down. And what a house cost back then? 10,000, 15,000.
Right.
But they were still leaving black. It was a law that you don't give black people any wealth. You give them no loans at the banks. You give them no housing loans, because all of y'all know that houses and land bring wealth.
Right.
So that gap was going on for a long time. So that's why you saw in the 70s, if you notice in the 70s, most Caucasians was in the suburbs in their houses, and most African Americans, unless you messed around and slipped and got a good job, and was able to buy a house, but we was in the project or even in the inner cities.
Right.
You see, now what's going on with the gentrification, let me just say this. Most churches deposit over hundreds of millions of dollars into other people's banks on Mondays and Tuesdays. See, that's the same money that comes in your neighborhood and buy you out and put you out of your neighborhood.
Right.
People don't know that they're paying for their own demise.
Right.
See, what those churches are supposed to be doing is getting schools, grocery stores, hospitals, and schools, grocery stores, hospitals, and something else. And you can't find those four things anywhere in the world that Afro-Americans have. Because healthcare, yeah. So because you need a school to teach the people about black education. You need a hospital to save your people. You need a grocery store, and you need a bank to finance your people.
There
That's
you go.
That's
it.
You can't find those four things anywhere.
That's directly affiliated with us as a black people. And that's why we have to get to a point where we have these conversations and don't be afraid to bring the truth to reality, that everybody understands. We have to make a change. We have to get those things. Like you said, we got to get where banks are owned by blacks, that we can walk in there and get a loan. I asked somebody this: how is it that we go into Washington, D.C., and we see them converting different things in different areas, and I see so many young white people able to afford that, and I don't see many of us? That's what you're talking about.
That's the wealth gap.
Yeah.
That's the wealth. See, a lot of those young white people, even that's coming to the city, their family has generational wealth gap.
Right.
Generational wealth gap. They will probably never be broke. And here's the thing. They teach their kids how to manage their money.
Exactly.
Because we want to go out and buy the Jordans.
Right.
They go out and buy the cheap stuff so they can keep the money in the bank.
Right.
But we flip from that. We always got to show and tell.
Right.
And so they're taught how to keep that money so the next generation can get it.
Right.
And they try not to live too much above their means.
That's why. That's another reason that I wanted to say that it's important that now we take our children and we educate them on finance. We educate them about credit cards. You know, credit cards is one of the biggest traps you can get. That right there sets you up. Back in the day, going to college, it wasn't too many blacks going to college, right? And then when we started going to college, then all of a sudden the process changed. So now we got people coming out of college, they can't even afford to live because they struggling to pay for that.
I'm gonna tell you something. Let me just touch on that real quick. Even the billionaires tell you this. I'm not telling nobody not to go to college, but don't send your kid to college just to go to college, because all your jobs, industrial jobs, has been excavated out of the country. So you see a lot of people going to college, get the college degree, and then they're coming out and they can't find a job. You want to know why? Because your college degree doesn't hold water to the real society. Now, I'm not telling you not to go to college,
right,
but make sure what you go to college for, there's a market for.
Thank you.
Don't just go to college and get, especially if your parents got to pay for this college, or you get a grant and you owe the money to the government, because that grant is something you can't file bankruptcy on. So you come out of college at 23, 24 years old, follow me?
Yes. You
got a $50,000, $60,000 debt that you can't find a job and nowhere near pay it back, because the market for what you got that college degree it don't hold water. So now what you have to do, you got to go work at McDonald's, Burger. You see a lot of that.
Yes.
I'm probably making more money than a college degree. Personally, I have never been to college.
Right.
So now you got to go be a security guard. Because you get frustrated after a while.
Right.
Because you say, I didn't been to college. But you come to the real society and you see that degree don't hold water in a lot of areas. And that's why you see a lot of people with degrees that's not really getting jobs that pertain to what they've been to school for. You know, like I said, I've dated a few women that spent their retirement getting their kids in college, and the college come out and they not know where.
Right.
They still got to pay that money back.
Yeah.
You still got to pay that money back.
Let me say this. Let me start by saying this. As far as college is concerned, you want to educate yourself. You want to educate your kids. You definitely want to do that. That's something that not only just sets you up for success. It teaches you critical thinking,
Right.
which you're going to need, regardless as to where you are and where you're going to go so far as life is concerned. It teaches you how to disseminate information. I went to school, so but also let me say this about generational wealth. As far as this country is concerned, this country was poor, right? This country from Europe, they sent their poorest citizens over here, their criminals and so forth. So they weren't intellectual or they weren't educated, any of those things when they sent them here. Now when they finally gained their freedom and started building this country to a point where it is, the wealth gap started. Now the farmland and the farmers in the South, from not just the cotton, from the cotton in the South to the corn and wheat and oats in the Midwest, all over this nation, they didn't have any money in order to start these farms. The way they started the farms was land grants. The government gave them land grants. Martin Luther King talked about this one time in one of his speeches. But they gave them land grants, and then they also, because they didn't know how to grow food, because understand, they didn't know anything about this.
Right.
They created land grant colleges.
They're educated.
Bingo.
I remember him talking about them giving them land grants and wasn't giving us anything.
Correct. And so when people talk about this all came to be when people start complaining about blacks being on welfare and about the government taking government subsidies. And so they said, well, it was all right when you were taking land from the government. It was all right when the government was giving you money, grants, not loans, grants for you to start farms and start businesses and start companies.
And don't even have to worry about paying it back.
And correct. So understand the wealth gap started then. It started then, and it's been widening ever since. As far as our wealth is concerned, the black community is often put in a seat that is far back from where it really is. Okay, as far as our financial wherewithal is concerned, and our power.
Yes.
We're nowhere remotely close to being as poor as people make us out to be. It's just not true, right? And we are 10 trillion and more strong. If the Bureau of Iron Statistics put out that if you compiled our financial wherewithal and our power together, we would make up the fifth richest nation in the world, as African Americans on this soil, on this soil. This is how powerful our financial base is. But when it's scattered all over the place, you can't see the power in it because it's just like you. You could be as powerful a human being on the face of this earth. But if I take every finger you got and every toe you got and both your feet and arms and legs and knees and separate them and put them in different corners of the world, what good are they to you? You can't see that power.
I got somebody, Troy Smith. He said, I agree with you, brothers. However, we, as strong black brothers, have to begin to reclaim our communities. We can't be afraid to enter into communities, the bad communities that are financially stricken, and reclaim our young men and stop the demasculation of the men in our society. We must support black businesses and pay what they are asking without looking for a deal or discount. What you say?
He's right. We do have communities that are in need of our attention. Make no mistake about that.
Right.
They are far less today than it was 10 years ago. They are far less today than it was 20 years ago. These are facts. You understand? There are less projects around even
Here.
than
Right,
they-
right,
than
right,
they
right,
were.
right,
When I
right,
grew
right.
up, projects was everywhere. They're not there anymore.
Right.
They're not there for a reason, and that's because our financial status has risen. And as it has risen, they have dwindled. Okay, so one only needs to look around to see where we are and where we used to be.
Right.
It's obvious, it's right in your face, but then you hear something different in the media. You hear the media trumpeting something completely different, but you don't see it. You don't see it because it's not there.
Yeah.
Because they want to put you in a position of oppression and want to keep you down to a certain degree. Now, if I can answer this brother's question right quick, because I digress. We are in the communities all over this country: Chicago, Washington D.C., Philadelphia, Harlem. Well, Harlem might not be black, but we're boots on the ground everywhere in this country, and black men like us care about young black men all over this country.
Right.
We don't not care about them, but young black men that he's talking about have a culture that they are fully immersed in. We might not like it, you understand? But you're not gonna change it. Like, you know, if you had a bush, if you're our age, and you had a bush that was this high in the 70s, and somebody said you can't get no job with that, I wasn't gonna cut it.
Right.
Because it made a statement for me. You understand?
Yes.
It made a statement of freedom for me, and I felt free doing it.
Yes.
And no matter what it looked like to you, that's your problem.
Right.
You deal with that. But I'm not changing my hair.
And
this is what they
hold on.
think.
Well, before I read this, because I want to piggyback off something else you said that was real powerful there. Hold just a second, Rachel. I see you made a comment, but you said something about where the black young people are today. I remember when I had Frank Johnson and Malik Blandon on we was doing Real Talk, and one of the things that Frank and Malik said, that we have to learn how to go to our young men. Right? Because see, what we're expecting them to do is to come to us, but they're not going to come. Because you just hit it when you said there's a total different, they have a whole different vision on what's going on.
And it's not your vision.
And it's not our vision.
And they're not going to have your vision.
We came up in the 60s when you said...
I didn't have my mother's vision. Neither did you.
Right. But like you said, back then the police wasn't shooting us. But they shoot now. Let me read this. It says, "Good day, Kings. My question for all of you is, should the government give funding to the black neighborhoods to build within the black communities? Who would be the leaders to carry out the bill to be approved?" Hold on before you say something, Don. Wait a minute. Because I need you to comment on what you said earlier. Do you remember what you said if you was the president? What would you do?
I would date Afro Americans, because we're so far behind the 8 ball, the average Afro American, from the generation gap. I would give everybody at least $600,000-$700,000 probably from the 80s on back. And the reason why I would do that, because of the system that we've been put in to afford a decent life.
Right.
And what that would do is probably, if I got $700,000 at me at 62, and even if the young mother, I mean, most of us that probably get it, it's going to be up in age.
Right.
And then it would actually put us in retirement. We pay our house off. Just think if somebody dropped $700,000 on you.
Right.
I would be able to put some away for retirement, because I'll be retiring in a few years. Whatever bills that I got, I'll be able to turn my portfolio around. There's a lot I can do
yes.
before I can head out into my silver life.
Yes.
And that we've been held back on, because the average Caucasian has that.
Yep.
It has that. It has a great portfolio to retire on, because of good jobs, handed down wealth.
Correct.
And all that stuff. So we're behind the 8 ball. The average Afro-Americans are behind the 8 ball as far as retirement. We got to work for the rest of our life.
Right. That's one of the things, when you said that, I thought about that, and I liked the fact that you didn't say all, because it's a different time. That's what you said. You said before.
People don't pay attention.
That's right.
It's a very different time.
It's a very different time.
And you say that in so much words we speak.
Yeah. So where we at, it is vital that we pay attention to what was then and what's now.
Oh, pay attention.
Come on.
Because if you listen to the media, to Don's point earlier, they're going to give you a whole different narrative. But you can walk around your neighborhood, especially if you're older, and look at what it is now and think about what it was.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Come on.
think about the blacks that surrounded you then and what's surrounding you now. Think about where the ones that you knew when you were growing up, where they were and their mothers were then, and where you are and the people you know and where they are. This is a microcosm of the black community all over this nation.
But can I say this?
But it is never coming out on the media. Donald Trump, as terrible as he is, no, this is what he said. This is what he said, and it hasn't been repeated on the media yet. I haven't seen it repeated yet. I don't. He's probably gonna pull it up on YouTube or something. He said, "I don't know why they keep talking about the black community poor. They're not poor." This is one after he made the statement about the welfare, and somebody in his cabinet said, "Well, you know, most black people aren't on welfare." And he said, "Well, who's on it?" You all remember that? He said, "Who's on?" Because in his mind, he thought by cutting it, he would hurt
us,
the minority, the black community. But in actuality, the statistics are this. And everybody listening, know this and take this with you. Black people are the last one on that list now. We're the last ones. We're the last ones. Whites are number one. Hispanics, 2. And all the rest of the people that are here, all of the blacks are the last ones on that list. And so far as government assistance is concerned, you see it because your sister might be on it, or your mother, or what was, or your aunt, your uncle, your brother. So it's directly a part of your family dynamic. But as far as our dynamic and as it pertains to our community, it's not.
Let me read this
It's
here.
not.
It says, should the police department have a lie detector test to rule out the racial cops from the police department?
Let me comment on that. I hear that. You know what I've always said? They should have some type of psychological test that they do 2 or 3 times a year to find out where they are psychological, and to find out, you could probably, I don't say it for the foolproof test, but you can kind of find out where they're at mentally, you know, with their racism and all that kind of stuff. I always say the police should have some type of test a few times a year. And maybe you might be able to weed out somebody before a bad cop before
something bad happens.
Correct.
And they always say good cops. You're not a good cop if you're going to watch a bad cop kill somebody.
Correct.
A good cop will stop him and stop him from taking a life. So if you're watching your partner take a life just because you didn't help, that don't make you a good cop.
Correct.
Exactly.
I wish they stopped saying good cop.
I wish they would too, but the
Yeah.
point that narrative has long been blown out of the water. There are bad cops on every police force in this nation.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Not a few of them.
A
awful lot of them.
It's a
But they
lot.
have been on the police forces forever, since the Ku Klux Klan started rising and rising up.
Yeah.
And to your point earlier, they are pervasive. There are many. There are a few good cops. There are a lot of bad cops.
Yeah.
Because this is the reason why we continue to be killed by them.
Right.
We don't continue to be killed all over this country for decades because there are just a few bad ones. We continue to be killed all over this country for decades because there's a lot of bad ones. And there have been a lot of bad ones for a long time. It's just that they are so protective of their community that they look at them white faces once they kill that black face and they can't see themselves locking that white face up. You understand? I mean, they really can't because they don't value your life. To that degree, they don't. So Black Lives Matter. This is the issue that they've been pushing from the beginning, and it's a whole different issue. It's a different narrative. It's a different people. It's a different platform that they springboarded from, and they're not playing with it. And so with that being said, understand me. This system is set up and stacked up on solid bricks. Solid bricks of systemic racism, put together purposely and galvanized together by a glue that is going to take a file to undo.
Yes.
Understand, this is the, I talked to this white lady before, she was talking about how she was assisted up, and I said, I thank you for it. We thank you in the black community, but understand, if you get in this fight, it's going to be a long one, and it's not going to be pretty.
And it's not going to be easy.
Understand me? No, because this thing has been built over a long period of time, very carefully and very meticulously. And it's done purposely. And it's done purposely to project a certain image of us to the world, and they want to keep that going because it gives them a certain power, and it gives them a...
It also put them in a position where they have self-preservation. So
it gives them power.
And that where they don't have to worry, because as we know, for real, we are not the minority. And they don't want us to understand that. Rachel said, did you know that they have free land programs today? Now, let me say something about that.
They don't have them for
Well, what a lot of people don't understand is this. From years ago, our families, our mothers and fathers, our grandfathers and them, whether they had them programs or not, those programs was not readily available for us. They have them.
They were very...
So what happens is, now, they have these programs, but people are not aware of them. And we have to get that information out.
They don't make us aware of them.
That's right.
But not only are we not aware of them, they bury them down in so much minutia that we can't get to them. And then when we do get to them, there's so many things that we have to do, so many hoops that we have to jump through
to get it.
Correct.
And so you get frustrated.
And then not only do you get frustrated, when you get to the end, they say, oh, well, you don't qualify. You understand? Because of whatever it is that they deem to be make you that way. So they've been available. When they gave the land grants to them back in law, it was available for you then. But they disqualify you like they did when they allowed you to vote. But they said you got to read this. But you never taught me to read because I was a slave and I was just made free. So how can I read that when I've never even hardly seen a book? Oh, but then you're disqualified.
It was against the law for you to read.
Correct. So it's a diabolical, systemic, racist scheme put together. That's what I was talking about as far as the bricks that
That's
have
what
been put together.
I was getting ready to say that.
Against us. These are these bricks. These are these boulders that have set this country up. And it's set up not only from local governments. This is set up on Capitol Hill. On Capitol Hill.
Okay, so hold on. Y'all stay right where you at, because first of all, let me read this, and then I got something else that's getting ready to trigger another direction. Most of us only want to rent. I like ownership. I have my title for my condo, and I have TSP, and I am 53, retired, and I have stock. My parents told me to step out because I was making more money than my parents when I was 35. Think and buy, not the loaners' cars. Taxes on real estate will run us out of town now. Now, hold on. So, what I wanted to also say, we have to start teaching our children exactly that. You know how many of us go out, we rent, we don't save to buy a home because we haven't been taught that.
Correct.
This is what you said about the bricks, the glue that would be hard to tear it down. This is by design that things are already, they knew this would happen 200-300 years ago because they are planners. They were planning. Now, I also want to say this for any white people that's watching. This ain't racial. This is not racial. This is facts. We're not being racist. We're telling the truth. When we speak about our pains and our struggle, it's looked upon as something negative. But it's not being negative. All I want to do is wake up in the morning and be able to see the sunshine and drink my coffee and do my part.
And leave and come home alive.
And live like that.
And what'd you say?
And leave and come home alive.
And leave and come home
Live
alive.
like that you do.
And live like you do.
Yeah, but and so far as racism is concerned, you can't be racist because you have to have a platform in order to be racist, to keep somebody out.
Afro-Americans can't be racist.
Correct. In order to keep somebody out.
Afro-Americans not racist.
Correct. To keep somebody out of, you don't have that power.
Right.
You have to be racist. Correct. You have to be in a powerful position. With that powerful position that you have, you are keeping me out simply because I am a certain color. I don't have that. If I'm talking about my situation and my life in my community over a period of whatever time it is. I'm talking from experience.
That's right.
I'm talking from experience and from knowledge of certain things happening. Doesn't make you anything but aware of your position and where you come from and what has happened to you. It's your experience. But your experience is not just yours. It's the white person you just talked to as well. It's their experience as well, because you live beside them, whether you are living beside them or not. You understand?
Yes.
Because what affects you affects them, whether they look away from it or not, because sooner or later it's going to bust them in the face, just like it did now.
Yes.
You understand? So when Martin Luther King said we're all in this together, we are. You can't be in the same pot even if you separated and not be together.
Right.
Understand me? I can take 1,000 little beads and put them in a big pot that I'm able to separate them in. They're still in the pot.
Yes.
You understand? They're still in the pot. So if I put water, it's still going to affect them. So it's going to affect you whether you recognize it or realize it or pay attention to it or not. Because your daughter is going to come home one day, your son is going to come home one day, your grandson is going to come home one day and say something to you about something that you've been turning away from your whole life and bust you right in the face with it. Granny, mama, or whatever it is, I got a black friend, I got a black boyfriend, I got a black girlfriend.
What I like to do, first of all, hey, let me, can you hold and get that? So I can, I want to say welcome to quite a few people. And I need to do this, and I want everybody, this is amazing. First of all, I'm going to ask both of you brothers, I'm going to need y'all to come back. This is powerful. I didn't realize this was going to be at the level it is right now. I mean, we still got time, but I'm going to need y'all to come back because this information. Okay, just flip it out. Okay, give me it. Okay. All right, we want Maria Price, Liz Ashton, Paro Hills, Rachel Pope, Angela Gomez, Andrea Kelly, Tracy Johnson, Misty Chamber, Deborah Valentine, Walter Shepard, Vicky Roy, Sharon Lovelace, Anthony Gaddit Mims. This is Alexis Galloway. Just call me Miss Liz. Penny Frazier, Iris Thompson, Della Brooks, Catrice Edwards, Karen Johnson King, Sandra Randolph, Dante Cunningham, my man, Dante, George Jackson, John Bilal, Nanya, this is Nettie Bean Owens, Patricia Talbert, Boris Dancy, Chris Dancy, Benita Johnson Lewis, Ronald Henderson, Lauren Williams. Hey, I welcome all of you. Please do me a favor, hit share. These two brothers here has taken this thing to a level that I wasn't even anticipating. We have to open up our minds and be aware of what's going on. Remember, it's Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. PTP, people to people, power to power, power to think people. I'm trying to tell you, it's people to people, people like these gentlemen here. They're talking about other people. When I say that, that's what that stands for. They're not just talking about themselves, but they're talking about America. They're talking about your neighbors. They're talking about your children. They're talking about your aunts and your cousins. And then we talk about the powers that be. When you're talking about that brick and how things have been established, these powers was before, and they are in a position where they're trying to maintain. But we also have the power to make a difference when we start to use our unity. We got to get to unity and start to come together and make sure that what you say, Black Lives Matter. And you can put the two on it if you want to. Black Lives Matter too. We don't want you to think that it's everybody else, it doesn't matter. But we're talking about what you said, Don. You said right now.
Right now, Black Lives Matter because we're the only ones that getting the riff. You know, all lives matter, don't get me wrong. But Black lives are the only one that gets the riff.
Yeah, let me say this. If there are any Caucasians out there listening, and people say, well, police kill white people too. And they do. As a matter of fact, statistically, they kill more white people than they do black people. That's fact. But per capita, we are killed at a much higher rate than anybody in this country. So when people say that to you and say, well, the police kill white people, sure they do. But per capita, they kill us at a much higher rate. We are 13% of the population, right? Caucasians, I think, are 46 now, or 46. So they are a larger piece of the pie. So if you kill more of them than you do us, but you kill more of them in a much larger group.
Yeah.
So they're spent out. You kill more of us in a much smaller group, so our percentage swells.
Yeah.
See, that's what that means. So
We got something here. Sugar said, so I came in late. Talk to me about how I can explain to my young sons systematic racism. What do you say to parents who do not address this immediately? Is there a responsibility to sit with the family and talk about it? The mannerism and their responsibility. Now is the time.
Because George Floyd woke everybody up.
And people are hearing. It's what it says in the manner, and their responsibilities to self-preservation. Holler at me, fellas. Talk to me about life insurance for our older population and how that is used to establish and set up our young and having a chance once we're past generational wealth. People, we got a lot to talk about. Each one teach one. Rules must be resurrected. Yes, our young are woke, but many are not. And you know what? That's what. Let me say this. This is why we having platforms like this. I'm not the only one to do this, but you know something? I am so proud. I'm so proud today. This is another time that I'm glad that I woke up and I decided to do this special today. Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. Let me tell you, this is not about me. This is about us. People to people, power to power, positive thing people. I'm trying to tell you that. It's about Don Jared. It's about Norman Colvin. I'm trying to tell you, these gentlemen here, they live this every day. They're not talking about something that you can't understand. They're talking about things that they have experienced every day as a black man in this country, in their neighborhoods, inside their homes, every time they go out and they go to jobs, when they go to churches. We are all having to experience this. So what you got to do is take the time. You've got to let your children know that we have to have platforms like this to get the truth out so that we'll be able to build that knowledge and be able to have it where we have that unity among us and we can start having our own businesses. Like you said, what's the four you said that we should be focusing on?
Schools, bank, grocery
Stores and hospitals. You say it one more time, please.
You need a school to teach the people. You need a bank to finance the people. You need a hospital to save your people. And you need a grocery store that can feed your people. And when you have those four things in your community, then you're on your way of being your own nation. Because a lot of times we've been so in a disarray that the system keeps us from having anything. Tulsa, Oklahoma, where Trump is going to do his little rally. They're beginning to build that. And they didn't need no people. They were independent.
Oh, yeah.
They were very independent. They had already built that.
Like Wall Street.
Like Wall Street.
But and totally, and let me say this, well, to Sugar Bitch's point, she said she was a little late coming in. The financial literacy, we talked about that a little earlier. Mm-hmm. That's what she's talking about. Okay. About the insurance and so forth. When you said that, and tell your, what should I tell my kids about it? When your kid become get a certain age where they can understand you and they start being able to disseminate information, that's when you start having that conversation with them about financial literacy. Right. Because that's going to be the most important part of their lives. That's what we didn't have. Some of us, most of us, about money. And to your point, white folks did. They sat down at the table and they teach their kids financial literacy. We don't.
The value of a dollar.
Right. So we have to have that conversation with them. Once we have that conversation with them, they'll have that conversation with theirs and so forth. As it is in our counterparts at home. That's how it is there. She said something else that I wanted to address as well. It was about kids. I can't remember what it was.
Because I want you to just piggyback off this one here. Troy Smith said, we are a sensitive group and a reactive group. We must realize that this is a weakness in our community. We must curb the attitude in order to succeed and prosper. We must instill personal pride and self-respect. We have police brutality from white cops and want action, but what are we doing to the
As far as police brutality is concerned, in today's society, it's every color of cop that are killing us. Black, white, Asian, Spanish, they're all killing black people in the middle of the street. Doesn't matter what their color is, they're gunning us down because they can get away with it. The ones that they paint across the television screen, for the most part, are white ones killing black ones. But black ones are killing black ones, and Spanish ones are killing Spanish ones as well. As far as black on black crime is concerned, that whole system, that whole narrative is racist. And I tell people this on an ongoing radio, and I trumpet it as loud as I can. There's no such thing as black on black crime, and you need to stop saying it. Because there's white on white crime, there's Spanish on Spanish crime, there's Asian on Asian crime. Every ethnicity in the world, not just this country, has crime. But this black on black term only popped up in our community, and you know why? That came from the government. And some people, somebody said that somebody wrote that Jesse Jackson was the first one that said it. He wasn't. He wasn't. It was said in the 1700s first. I looked it up. It was said in the 1700s first. This black on black stuff. Understand me? What it does is put in a category and magnify your behavior.
Along with the media.
Well, the media has to do it. It can't be done, and it wouldn't be as pervasive if the media didn't take it and carry it. Correct. So they're all complicit in it. Understand? But there's no such, and the black community really needs to stop doing this. Understand me. Now, as far as blacks, as far as our community having crime within it, there's crime within every community. Within every community, and understand it's a problem. It's a problem. Anytime you set 10,000 people on top of each other and expect them not to have problems, is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. So when you develop ghettos, when you develop projects by design, and you stack people on top of each other, and you expected them to not do what? Live?
And then don't give them
You expected them and not give them anything. Not give them anything. Isolate them from everything else around them. Stack them up 10,000 and isolate them together, and then eliminate everything else around them that they reach out to touch, to grab, to get, and you tell them no. Then when the ones that do get out and they say, well, I've done this, I've got education, I did this, I did that, and you still telling me no, so what now? I got to come back to home where? To my mothers in the projects. So this is all by design.
So what's going on?
We are human beings. We are human beings that are acting in a way that is humanistic. If you stack white people on top of each other, and they did back in the 20s in New York, and they did the same thing. They called the Italians, now they call them gangsters. But they did, and before that, it was the Irish. When they came here, they stacked them on top of each other in New York. They did the same thing. But they never called it white on white crime. They never called it Italian on Italian crime. So why are they calling it black on black crime? It's a narrative that they're pushing in order to
come in your neighborhood and hit you upside your head
and kill you.
And be justified.
And be justified and have their community, the white community, accept it because they're animals anyway.
Come on.
So what do you think will happen if you put, like you just said, you put all these people
Stop
down,
that.
take all their opportunities and don't give them anything, and survival kicks in.
Of course, they're human.
We're gonna run. So
They did.
When they released us from slavery, they left it. It's like taking your child, putting them out in the street with no clothes or nothing. He kicks into survival mode. He's gonna steal, rob, kill. He's not gonna do anything to take care of himself
and his family.
So it's only normal that we did what we did because of the system.
Correct.
And the way that it's designed, like you said, when you stack them on top of each other, they don't have no other choice but to do it within.
And then don't give them anything.
Yes. When they can't do it outside, they're going to jail.
And then you're gonna say,
so I'm gonna stay longer if I do it inside my community. At least I'll stay out longer. If I go in your community, I'm gonna get locked up. Come on, it's like that.
Hey, when we call this is real talk with Rodney Grimes. I'm talking about it. I got some powerful people over here. I got Don Jarrett and I got Norman Calvin. I'm trying to tell you. Let me tell you something. These brothers right here speaking nothing but the truth. Let me tell you something. This ain't about we mad at the world and nothing like that. We talk about facts. We talk about things. Come on.
Just pay attention. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to your community. Pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to what's going on around you. When you hear something, I tell my daughter this. If somebody tell you something, research it. Then research the research.
Yeah.
Understand me, because what they put out for you to gain as far as information about your community is wrong, and they're putting it out there on purpose for you to take it and then transfer it so all this information can be spread amongst your people. Wrong. The black on black crime thing. They did this propaganda. They did this on purpose. On purpose so that they can push another agenda while you are continuing to push what they already set up for you to do. So you have to research what they put out there and look under that rock. Lift that thing up and go and get some and research what you just found out from their research. Because if you don't understand, you're gonna be wrong. You're going to be wrong, because when they talk about black fathers and they talk about us like we are absolutely nothing.
That's a lie.
Statistically, black fathers are in their kids' lives just as much as any other community in this country, and more so than the white community. We change diapers more than they do. Statistically, black fathers change their kids' diapers and their kids more than any other community. When they talk about black fathers not being in the home, they're talking about it from a position of marriage. This is what throws that number way off.
Okay.
Because we don't marry, but we are still in our kids' lives. But they don't put that out there. They distort the fact. And then they distort it, you distort it. You distort it, and I distort it. And then it becomes pervasive in our community, and then they hear it, and then it starts getting heard all over the country. Then the world hears it, and then they then we look like what they want us to look like to the world, which is nothing. You understand me? But when they push this narrative on us, they pushed it from a position of marriage. Understand, we are married less than any other community in this country. But that does not mean that black fathers are not in their kids' lives. Matter of fact, that nothing could be further from the truth.
Come on now.
Let me just say this.
Come on.
Let's back it up a little bit on some of the black fathers not being in the home. When they invented welfare, what did they tell you when you had welfare? That the black father cannot be in the home. So that separated.
It was a part of the
system.
It was
to separate the family because they don't want the black family to progress.
Right.
So they told you, we're going to give you this check and these food stamps, but he can't be in the house.
That's right.
So what that did to the woman, so the system made the woman turn against the father. So what did the woman say? He ain't taking care of his kids. He's a no good father. It wasn't that he was a no good father. It's that the system turned you psychologically against the father by giving you welfare check, food stamp, and then told you that the man can't be in the house. Because that was part of the, what's the word, to keep the black family from progressing? Genocide.
Right.
That's part of the genocide to keep the black family from progressing.
Let me add this. Somebody said this a while ago, and now I'm listening to y'all, man, and my brain is just getting overwhelmed with so much. I'm trying to figure out what is it that we don't know that they don't want us to know about us, that they are so aggressive about keeping us separated.
Let me speak on this real quick. I don't let you, because the system don't see whoever got the money controls the country. And see, Trump is blatant. See, the reason why when the president give the wealthy the taxes, the tax breaks, they keep them wealthy. And see, you want to keep you heard the saying, keep the poor and the rich rich.
Right.
See, because everything you do trickles back to the rich. And the rich controls the country. As long as one day they don't want to wake up. See, because every Afro-American and people of color, every time we have a baby, the baby is what? Statistics, they say 100 years from now, 100 years from now, there's going to be more minorities in the country. So what do you do let me just say this, what do you do to a race of people that you can't send back to their country? You start killing them all. control them and kill them all. So one day, they don't ever want to wake up and we controlling the country. Because one day, the most racist person in the world is going to wake up and his granddaughter is going to be what?
Married to a black man. Come on, bro. Come on. His grandchildren gonna come in
So they
there
got to
and
kill
say,
us as much as possible.
he gonna come. He gonna be sitting down there, and his grandbaby gonna come in there and be
75 years from now, most
It's
white
75 years.
Right.
It's happening today.
Let me get this here. What it says, TR, you are right, and it is certainly not the time for the thin skin. We as collective are in a mode just merely striving to see life and living. Yes, TR. Yes, sir. I agree. Okay. I am currently. What's that? Vita.
Benita.
Huh?
Benita.
Saying I am. He is currently in Benita. Okay. Minutes from Route 66. There is a wealth of black history here. We must educate. I am not afraid to travel to places.
Correct.
That's one of the things. Let me add something to that. Hey, Troy, let me tell you something. One of the things that I was so proud about my oldest son. My oldest son has done a lot of traveling around the world. And I remember one time I told him, I said, do not stay within the bubble. If you stay within the bubble, then you're not going to know that there's a large world. And this world is so big. And when you start to go outside of this area, we got some people that's never left Virginia. We got some people that's never went. Some people never even went to New York.
Some people in Alexandria never crossed the bridge.
Come on, man.
I got some family members that go off the bridge
What
alone.
you say, Roman?
Yeah, but if they do, not only they lost, they scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, this thing about black, somebody said the United States did a masterful job of painting the black man as a monster, a dangerous monster, a killer.
He flipped the script on us.
Oh my God.
They the most massive
They-
murderers in the
Oh,
world.
they have it, but they did a masterful job of painting that picture of us for the world to see. To the point where they got you scared of your brother.
Come
They
on.
make you
Come
think.
on.
They have made you think that your people are against you. with the narrative that they have pushed. When they're not only the most dangerous people in this country, they're the most dangerous people on the planet.
Yes.
But they have been like I think it was Farrakhan said, you aren't indigenous to no part of the world. Wherever you are, you went there and you took. You understand me? You went there and you took. Wherever you are, you're not indigenous nowhere.
They planted this
Nowhere.
you
Correct. But this narrative was pushed about us on purpose because they have an agenda. They have had, like to your point earlier, they have a plan, and their plan is that they have a plan that they think hundreds of years forward.
Yeah.
You understand? And
They don't want it to go there.
and they put in place what they put in place what they want to do and where they want to go step by step, era by era.
And this is one reason why they're killing you.
Yes.
Because they don't ever want it to get to that point.
Era by era. Well, also your social security number makes you a number, and you're counted, and your social security number is also registered with Fort Knox.
Let me say this.
But that's a whole different story as to why they eliminate you. But this country is eliminating you for a myriad of different reasons, and the blanket that's pulled off of it is racism. They want to kill you more than they want to kill anyone else because they see you as
You're a threat to
a
them.
huge threat. You are more threatening than anything because they know your power. They're not stupid. Understand me. At the very top, they're not. They know that their base is, so they feed them information, and they know that they will digest it. But at the top, they know your power. They know your history, and they know your power.
Strength.
And they correct. So they do everything that they can in order to keep you in a position that they can go above you and dictate and control the narrative as it pertains to your ascension. to your ascension. Now, largely we have fought out of that cage.
Everything they put in front of us, we move around.
Correct. We have
Eventually.
fought out of that cage, but they do everything they can to slow that process. But the last stronghold of it is to have you doing it.
Yeah.
To have you doing it to yourself.
Self.
To have you fighting amongst yourself to the point where you slow it even more. You understand me? So the more you go ahead, the more they feed you about your own as they're doing, and the more they do that, because a divided house can never do what?
Hey,
You
hold on.
understand me?
So Troy, you said, well, teach them to rob and steal from the whites that are oppressing them, that don't take and ruin your own communities.
No,
That-
so you
hold on.
Well, we used to do that in the 70s.
Right. Yeah. But okay. Let us. What I want right now, since I don't want this, I don't want us to get to a point where this is we talking from a black man's perspective on all ends. And I hear you, Troy. I hear you, Don. I hear you, Norm. And so you wanted to comment on that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Did he say teach the blacks to steal and from the white community?
But he said, no, I don't think that I see my point. I don't think he's meaning that we want to. He's not saying that he want us to teach them negativity. He's just talking about when we was talking about, of course, we're actually in committing crime on crime with ourselves and
but the thing about that is, as I mentioned earlier, we are a society of millions and millions of individuals on all different levels. Some of us are educated, some of us are very educated. Some of us are prosperous, some of us are very prosperous. Some of us are not so prosperous, some of us are poor. This is the same dynamic that's within every ethnicity in the world, not just this country.
Right.
There are some white people that are very affluent, that are very wealthy. There are some that are just wealthy. There are some that are middle class, upper middle class, lower class. There are a whole lot that's poor, more than us. You understand me? Having said that, in a society of millions of people, you're going to have people within that society that just don't get it. You're going to have people in that society that grow up in a certain environment, and it becomes a part of their DNA. It becomes a part of who they are. They don't want to leave a certain area because this is what they identify with. This is where they are safe.
we got a caller. Hey Troy, how you doing, my brother? What's happening? But that's where, hey, Troy, and believe it or not, and that's where we have to come collectively and make a change. Now, that's something, I'm glad you said that because I wanted to bring that up earlier. How many black stores are in our communities? We see Asian stores in there, they got bars up, they got everything in there, and you don't even see them park their car in front of the store. Half of them you think that they just get dropped off, but you don't see nothing come back into the community.
Right. Can I speak?
Hey, Rodney, I agree with you 100%, man, but I'm fueled by this, and I put on the comment that you must let me, we got to get to a chance. This is a great show. We got to give me a chance to really sit down and talk to these guys because we can't, just like we're in this COVID-19 crisis right now, this physically in, this is no better time than to build our community because just like everybody was in a panic, I can't go get my hair done, I can't go get my nails done. They felt like this was crucial, that this was something that they had to have. Well, this is the time that black people need to support one another. Instead of worrying about an Asian fingernail store opening up or a toenail shop opening up or a hairstyle opening up, that's when your black mothers and your black ladies that have the skill to come in and say, hey girl, come over here, let me do something
Like they did it back in
Come
the
over
day.
here, let's work on building our own children up to realize that there are ways to survive without depending on things like that.
Right.
Can I say?
Hey, hold on. Hey, Fleet want to follow up. Go ahead, Fleet.
Let me Troy.
Troy.
Yeah, the corner stores and the Asian nail shops and the Italian restaurants and all those things that are so heavily in the black community. As someone once said, somebody once said the black community was so poor, why you putting restaurants in it for? Why you putting stores in it so much? If the black community was so poor. And I also understand this. The reason why you don't see corner stores, to your point, black owned anymore, and all these kind of all this, minority loans they stopped giving.
Okay.
SBA minority loans you can't get them anymore.
Okay.
They stopped that a long time ago. Once our wealth needle moved to a certain point, they cut it off. You can get an immigrant loan.
Come on now. Come
You can
on.
get an immigrant loan tomorrow,
Right.
but you can't get a minority loan. It don't exist.
I agree.
You're gonna get. Let me finish, Troy. Let me finish, Troy.
Hold on.
I really don't know the financial status of a whole lot of people.
I do.
There are people in our community that can financially provide this.
Let me
They
finish.
can financially provide this. You don't necessarily
I understand.
need to apply for that minority.
I understand
There
that.
are people that can provide this. If you are able to open up a business and you decide that you want to open up a corner store and you feel like there's something that's a need in your community, instead of turning in your money to maybe your personal passion, maybe turn into that. But what ultimately happens in a case like that, most of the time, the Asian communities are teaching their youth to run the cash register at 5 and 6 years old. But when we put our children in a corner store in a black community at 5 or 6 years old, we set them up for riches of many different characters and other ages, other nationalities will never see.
So I understand. So that's why this is where what you're talking about. We have to start teaching our children and change the direction. We got to stop giving them the cell phones and these little iPads and stuff for them to play with when we need to start talking about finance. Right. We got to start doing that. See, you're right, Troy. But let me say this. Let me tell you something. Now, you just said something, Fleet, Norman, that's real powerful. Now, I want you to think about something. How many blacks probably dream about opening their own businesses? All of us do. But what opportunity do you have?
Most of us don't see an opportunity.
Right, both of us don't see the opportunity, and it's hard for us to be able to go and get loans, and we don't collectively come together to support one another. I'm having problems just getting people to go to YouTube and hit subscribe, and it don't cost anything.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you, I've been asking people to do that. But you know something? Let me tell you, because we almost out of time. And I'm gonna give Troy, because I know you personally. This is one of my best friends. Hey Troy, when the next time I got these brothers in, because I'm bringing them back, I want you to come too. Okay?
that'd be great.
Okay, so
I just want to say, Troy, you know, you can get a car loan, you can get an education loan, but they'll give you a whole lot of flack about getting a business loan.
right.
The business loan represent wealth and, you know, an uprising.
You're not gonna get a minority loan.
Yeah.
Period. But the point is about the stores and blacks owning stores. When we talk about our financial need, our financial wherewithal, we have elevated to such a point where when we own stores, we got out of stores and bought stocks, and we took our kids to a whole nother level. They went to different colleges, then came out and became board members of Xerox and IBM and so forth. You understand? So our financial position elevated. So that's where that went.
Right.
Okay. So then, when that elevated, the next one came, and our financial position elevated, and the SBA and the federal government said, since your financial position has elevated, you don't need this no more, because you have elevated to a point where your people can help you now.
Okay.
Okay. To his point, and we don't.
And that's where we have to do it.
Correct. But so then they systematically created an immigrant loan program that put those people in your community on purpose, in order to make it look like that's a position that you didn't and don't want.
Come on.
So when you go there, you see somebody there that don't look like you no more. You understand? But what they don't tell you is that the you that you used to see made $1 million and took that million and bought some stock and gave his son and daughter stocks that he bought, that they turned around and went to school and learned about literacy and took and bought some more stock and gave it to this. That's what happened to those people, and that's what happened to those corner stores and nail shops and things of that nature. So, understand, you are right, because the government thinks the same way. That's why they stopped giving you the loans. They think that you have gotten to a point financially where you can help yourself. So they're not going to give you that, and that's why you see that. But understand that it was systematically done. Nothing happens in the black community by accident. Anything you see pervasive in the black community, it's planned. It didn't just happen. It didn't just happen. And also understand this, as I said before, and I want to say it again, if the black community was so poor, every nationality would not be setting up shop there.
Hey, gentlemen. Hey, I'm really. Hey, Troy, I appreciate you calling in. Matter of fact, when you get back in town, we're gonna make that happen. I'm gonna get you in on this next panel. I definitely want to get you in, man. I hope everything, and make sure that you be safe traveling. Okay. Hey, peace and blessings. Okay, I'm going to read this one more thing, and then we're going to have some closing remarks real quick. Hey, first of all, remember, this is Real Talk with Rodney Grimes. Real Talk Live. People to people, power to power, power to same people. I'm telling you right now, this is amazing. These two brothers have came in here and changed my whole thinking on how I'm going to be moving forward from this point on. We got to keep it real. We got to be talking the facts. We got to deal with the truth so that we'll be able to make change. And I believe change can come. We are elected as a people with various levels of understanding on society, economics, education, and spiritual levels. We have to all be able to come together despite our differences. Nothing should be able to separate us as a people.
Correct.
Do you remember back in the day? Do you remember when we was wearing the bushes and how we used to...
We was kind of more together then.
We was more together then. We stuck
together.
together. But, you know, all our parents, I know y'all
Our
parents.
parents knew each other's
Right.
parents.
Let me say that.
Well, mine's sitting right in front.
Yeah, no, but you know what? I've eaten in your kitchen before.
Yeah.
I've eaten in your kitchen before. Let me tell you what, the way we were a community. This is why we are actually more like brothers than anything. We ain't like neighbors. We came up where we knew exactly what you were doing and what time you had to be in the house. We knew what was going on. And back then our parents had a different perspective on things, and we got to remember that. But one thing I want to say,
We was more respectful of
we were much more respectful. But what we have to do is we have to get back to a point
Less than.
where you're right, we had less to work with.
as financial resources then.
Okay.
The more financial resources we got, the more isolated we became.
Well,
Understand me? The more financial resources we got, the more isolated we became. The old adage, never forget where you came from.
yes.
We do.
Hey,
The more
can you say that
financial
again? Say that
resources
again.
we obtain, the more financial resources we got, the more isolated we became. And the more that financial needle moved up, we really isolated in your Oprahs and your Tigers and so forth. You understand me? But we don't have to go that high to isolate. We just have to buy a house in the suburb.
And then we forget.
Understand me? Because once we buy that house in the suburb, we're not coming back to the projects.
Right.
Yeah, that ain't somewhere I want to come. That's somewhere I want to forget. Somewhere I want to know. I don't ever want to go back
We have
nowhere.
arrived.
We have arrived.
Yeah.
Even if the house, no matter what the house calls, no matter what the house, because that's our corner, that's our bit of America. You understand?
Yeah.
So when we get that, we isolate within it, and we teach our kids to isolate within it and to never go back to where we came from.
Yes.
You understand me? We drum this in their head. I came from here. I don't want you there. You know what I mean? And you know, and it's with good intention that we say that because we want them to go further than we did. But you can't tell them not to go back to their.
Come on, come on.
You know
You
what
got
I mean?
what you're saying is what you
can't tell them
can't.
that
You
you have to
cannot
find a better way.
forget. You cannot forget where you came from.
Let me say
You
this.
cannot forget where you came from, so that you'll know where you're going.
Let me say this. Even today, I've kind of risen to a certain point, got a certain lifestyle. I'm not rich or anything like that, but you know what I do? That 1309, 1330, right where we grew up right there in the projects, I go back there and I knock on the door. I tell them that a few times, and I see the family that's there and I see the kids. I said, guess what? I lived here when I was your age. I sit and talk to people like, hey, you did. I said, yeah. We were the first families that moved to this place when they were brand new.
Yeah.
And I say,
That was called acting home.
Right. I can tell you each room and where it's at. And I explained to him, and I went in the house, let me in the house, man. It was just amazing to go back to your childhood on 1309.
How many people do that, Don?
Not many.
Around the country.
Come on now. Not
How
many.
many black people come from where you come from, did what you did?
And go back.
And I went back, and I had a couple of bicycles that I wanted to give away. And I went back and gave the kids in that house. I said, I'm going to give the kids in that house. I actually bought them off my girlfriend because we bought our bikes. She had 2 bicycles, she bought her sons. And they never rode them, but they stayed in the garage. They were still well kept. And she had them put in the shop and everything nice on them. So I said, I'm going to go, and I said, in order to get you a new bike, I'm going to buy these 2 from you. And what I'm going to take these to, I'm going to take these 2 down in where I grew up at and give them away.
I know.
That's what I did.
Hey, hold on. We got another caller here. Hey, Rachel, how you doing?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I had just posted something, but I'm going to say this to you guys. I am so proud of the 3 of y'all. And I thank you for being on the show. And I just want to say to Rodney, you definitely have to have the fellas back.
Yes.
And let's call it my brother's keeper segment. And we need to build this community this way with talk and as well as action and make it a reality.
Yes.
And I just want to say thank you for your thoughts, for your heart, the knowledge. And I had mentioned to Vita, I said, girl, we're going to have to take that blood pressure.
Hey, I already know that. Hey, look. Hey, Rachel. I'm sitting here next to Norman for a minute. I was feeling the heat. It was getting a little hot over here. I was feeling the heat from him. I was like, Lord have mercy. And you know what? That's what I knew. I said, you know what? We on to something now. We on to something now.
I was saying, preach, preach.
Yes. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Rachel, for a minute, I was getting ready to tell him, I was getting ready to say, hey, Norman, I think you need to drink some of that water, right? Because, hey, yo, you know what we saw right there? We saw the passion. We saw that passion. Hey, so, with that said, you know, we way over our time. We way over our... So, I got. Oh, it said okay. Hey, Rachel, I'll call you back in a little bit, baby, because we got to get out of here. We are elected as the people with various levels of understanding on society, economic. Didn't I read that already? Okay, it said economic, education, and spiritual levels. We have to all be able to come together despite our differences. Nothing should be able to separate us as a people.
Right. But we have to be able to come together as a people, period, on as it pertains to everything. But understand, and I want people to understand this, the separation in the black community happened also on purpose. It happened systematically, and it happened by plan. Mm-hmm. By plan. So because the only way that they could climb the backs of us, because they couldn't do it anymore through slavery, so they had to do it through us individually. So they separated us in order to have that be. Now, to Don's point with the welfare, that was a part of it. That was a part of it as well. But they have been planning to separate us since they freed us. You see, so us coming together is going to be a massive undertaking, just as it is to break down this systematic racism that we've been living under, this tyranny that we've been living under for hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. Understand, the separation of the black family happened the same way that they built this systematic racism. They happened at the same time, rather. They happened at the same time simultaneously. So in order to make both those things happen, it's going to be a huge undertaking. It's not us getting on here or in other. You can broadcast this on national television for a year straight, and we'll still have a problem coming together. Yeah. Understand me? Because we've been conditioned mentally apart. And then not only have we been conditioned mentally apart, as I mentioned earlier, as we elevate financially, we isolate ourselves. Yes. Because we've been preached to, and so far as society is concerned, about gaining our piece of the pie, like you were talking about with yourself. You understand? The only difference in you is that you went back to your old house, which is a wonderful thing, but most of us don't do. But we isolate within this house like yours. You understand? Like mine, like whoever has came from a place of little to nothing to have a little something. You isolate within that because you are living within your mind the American dream. Something that you've been hearing about since you were 6 years old. Something that you didn't see from your mother or your father or your grandmother, if that was the case. And if you did see it, you still wanted it. And when you saw your grandmother and your mother with it, they isolated, so you did the same thing. See, we don't have the luxury of doing that like white people. No. We don't have that luxury. Because white people can do that because they own the system. Yes. So they don't have to come back to a place in order to elevate anything. They are already elevated.
Well, they wasn't there.
Correct. We don't have that luxury. We have to come back because otherwise.
Hey, look, the Penny said that's right. We have a village less to work with, and we overcame. They need to know where they came to know where they're going. I agree. You said invite those black young men from the projects to hear their perspective on life as it is today. Then you brothers can enlighten them. You know something? This is a start. You're right, Penny. And let me tell you something. This is exactly what we're doing. I'm sorry, everyone. Let me tell you something. I know that this is deep. This is the first time I ever even went this long over, but it got so powerful. Great things, cuz worth Maine. Okay. Main man Norman, Timmy is hollering out at you, and said that's right. Okay, so what I just want everybody to know, please share this. Please share this. This is real powerful. This is Rodney Grimes, Real Talk Live. Okay, this is people to people, power to power, positive people. Let me tell you something. I want to just really thank you, Don Jared, for coming in. It was a pleasure. Hey, Fleet. I keep calling him Fleet, but Norman. Hey, look. Hey, let me tell you something, bro. You something else. You something else.
I always learn. That's why I always learn a lot from this guy.
Believe it or not, when I talk to Don, I would say, Don, when he called me, he said you gotta get Fleet. He said you gotta get Norman in here. And
Don and I talk about we eat.
Yeah. So what I'm doing publicly, I'm letting y'all know this is getting ready to happen again because I already know that there's so much more that y'all got to share.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have Troy come in, because Troy's another one. He's a very, very positive brother with a lot of energy to offer. But remember this, first and foremost, everything that you do, always do something pure from your heart. Put God first in your life, and make sure that what you're doing from your heart is not to be selfish, that you're looking out for one another. Because I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. And that's what this platform about. I ask everybody, go to YouTube and subscribe. It don't cost you nothing. When you talking about, my plan is to take these platforms to a whole different level, so that brothers like this, and we talking different people who have different perspectives, that'll be able to open your mind and be able to have you, that you'll see that there is a change that's coming, and that it's a part of us that's going to be responsible for that change. Remember, hey, you see it's Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes, PTP, People to People, Power to Power, Power to Thank People. You also see my Cash App on there. Let me tell you something. When I tell you, if you want to put something in the Cash App, do so. This ain't about me begging you. What I'm trying to tell you, this is about Black Lives Matter. We're making differences so that we'll be able to move forward, and we're going to put ourselves in a position we're going to be able to continue to give information. You got 10 seconds to say something, Don.
I just want to, tell the mothers that don't have fathers in the house, or just a system that they can use when that child is being approached by the police. First of all, if the police don't have anything on your child, he just want to mess with him, he's going to come and try to dialogue with him. And the first thing you'll teach your child to say is, sir, am I under arrest? And he's going to say, let me see your ID. And then you should keep pushing, am I under arrest? What am I under arrest for? If I'm under arrest, then if I'm not under arrest, I must be free to go. You know, so if he keep pushing that dialogue, then you tell him, I don't answer questions.
Right.
See, what the police want to do is get you dialoguing so he can give you a command.
Right.
But if you keep saying, I don't answer questions, am I under arrest, did I commit a crime? Keep pushing that back at him.
Right.
And if he don't come up with anything that he's harassing you for, then you ask to see his captain. And
or his supervisor.
A supervisor. And you tell him, I don't answer questions. And can I see your supervisor? Then if he really don't have anything on you, he's really gonna leave you alone.
Right.
But if you keep dialoguing with him and answering this question,
He'll set you up.
He'll set you up to say, well, put your hands behind your back.
Exactly.
So
you're right.
You only tell him, I don't answer questions. Am I under arrest? Did I commit a crime? If I commit a crime, then what crime have I committed? But if he can't tell you what crime you commit, then you have to see a supervisor.
That's it.
And that's how you do that.
That's the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
That's the Fifth Amendment. So once you say those words to him, the first one, especially I answer a question, he has to not ask you anymore by law. By law, he can't ask you.
Say that again, please.
It's the Fifth Amendment. It's the Fifth Amendment. Once you say the first thing he says, I don't answer questions. At that point, he can't legally ask you anything else unless he is stopping you for a crime.
Right.
Okay.
Other than that, and then even if he's doing that, he has to leave and do whatever he has to do from that point. But that's your Fifth Amendment. So, but what I want to say is this, and that is as far as our community is concerned and the knowledge of each other, because this is where this has to go. The financial literacy piece that we've been talking about here is the most important thing that we can teach any one of our kids, our nephews, our nieces, or each other, because that's the linchpin to have everything happen for you in your life. Period. It's the only thing that we fought so hard to obtain. That's the right when Martin died, when they killed Martin Luther King, they killed him because this is the needle that he was moving at that point. It was financial literacy. That was his next platform.
That's it.
That was his next platform. That was the next big thing that he was pushing, and they killed him. You understand? They killed him. Marcus Garvey pushing that needle, that financial literacy needle. Malcolm X pushing that financial literacy needle. Farrakhan pushing that. Farrakhan pushed every needle. But he pushed facts within it. He pushed every needle. But that financial literacy needle, it's a big deal. It's huge. Everything and every pillar of this country is set up on capitalism. is set up on a financial platform. Every pillar of this country, period, is set up on a financial platform.
That's what it's about.
Every pillar of every nation around the world is set up on a financial platform. None of them are set up on anything else. They can push whatever religion they want to push. They can talk about whatever other principle they want to talk about. Understand the number one pillar that pushes that nation is finances.
This is Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. People to people, power to power, positive thing to people. I thank you. God bless you. And y'all stay tuned because I got these brothers coming back.